Have you ever wondered why your body sometimes feels like it's speaking a language you can't quite translate? When your energy shifts, your mood changes, and your desire flickers like a pulse beneath the surface. This isn't random. It's your hormones. The invisible orchestra conducting every heartbeat, every emotion, every spark of attraction. But somewhere along the way, that harmony can fall out of tune. Stress, poor sleep, toxic habits, even the quiet pressure of modern life, they all start to rewrite your body's script. And suddenly, what once felt natural feels foreign. In this episode, we're not talking about quick fixes or miracle supplements. We're diving deeper into the biology of connection, the psychology of energy, and the science of balance. Because when your hormones are aligned, everything, from your confidence to your intimacy, begins to come alive again. When we talk about hormones, most people think of lab results, medical charts, or the word imbalance, whispered like a quiet diagnosis. But hormones are not just numbers. They are the emotional fingerprints of your biology, the living language through which your body speaks its deepest truths. They dictate how you wake in the morning, how you react to someone's voice, how a moment of laughter can feel like sunlight through your veins. Every surge of cortisol when you're stressed, every rise of oxytocin when you feel safe, it's your internal world shaping the way you experience life itself. Imagine two people sitting across from each other. They're not touching. They're not speaking. But something in the air shifts. A subtle, almost electric awareness. Their pupils dilate. Their breathing sinks. The brain releases dopamine, that first spark of curiosity that whispers, there's something here. It's chemistry, yes, but also communication. The body recognizes before the mind does. And that's where the story of hormonal health truly begins. In the tiny, invisible exchanges that remind us we are creatures of both science and sensation. Every thought you have triggers a chemical ripple. When you feel loved, your oxytocin rises, your cortisol drops, your heart rate steadies. When you feel rejected or unseen, your body interprets it as danger. The adrenal glands release stress hormones, tightening muscles, slowing digestion, dimming the body's natural rhythm of pleasure. Over time, this stress response becomes a silent thief, stealing vitality, energy, and connection. Healing your hormones naturally means reclaiming that rhythm, teaching your body that it's safe again to feel, to soften, to trust its own signals. Let's step back for a moment to something simple. Think about touch, not the kind that demands, but the kind that listens. A warm hand on your shoulder. A hug that lingers half a second longer than expected. Touch releases oxytocin, the same hormone that bonds mothers to infants, lovers to each other, and even friends in moments of shared comfort. It lowers blood pressure, soothes anxiety, and tells the brain you belong. The human body was never designed to heal in isolation. Connection is medicine, and intimacy, emotional or physical, is its delivery system. When Dr. Gabrielle Lyon talks about healing, she doesn't begin with restriction or fear. She begins with awareness. Your hormones mirror your lifestyle, your thoughts, your relationships. They respond to your story. Estrogen, testosterone, cortisol, thyroid hormones, they're all part of a dynamic ecosystem, constantly adapting to the way you live. If you're constantly running from one thing to the next, eating on the go, sleeping too little, or scrolling late into the night, your body interprets that as survival mode. It prioritizes short-term protection over long-term vitality. Your libido drops. Your energy fades. You start feeling disconnected from yourself, like the world is happening to you instead of through you. Healing starts with slowing down enough to listen. When you wake up, how does your body feel? Is your breath shallow? Does your chest feel tight? Are you hungry for food or for quiet? These questions might sound small, but they're invitations. Ways to decode what your hormones have been trying to tell you all along. There's a beautiful irony in how biology mirrors emotion. When you fall in love, not infatuation, but deep emotional resonance, your brain releases a cascade of chemicals. Dopamine creates anticipation, Oxytocin builds trust, serotonin stabilizes your mood, testosterone heightens desire. It's not random, it's orchestration. The body remembers safety as pleasure. Emotional intimacy literally reprograms your hormonal patterns. It tells your nervous system that it's okay to relax. That connection doesn't equal danger. And when that happens, healing begins to unfold in the most unexpected ways. Through laughter, through sleep, through the courage to let someone see you. Desire, at its root, isn't just about sexuality. It's about aliveness. It's the body's way of saying, I want to engage with life. When hormones are balanced, that desire flows effortlessly, like a current beneath the surface of everything you do. You're more creative, more focused, more compassionate. When they're not, the world feels dull, your body heavy, your spirit muted. This isn't weakness, it's biology calling for attention. Hormonal imbalance is often a reflection of emotional imbalance. The places where you've learned to push, suppress, or ignore your natural rhythm. Picture this. You're walking through a forest. The air is cool, earthy, alive with the scent of pine. As you breathe deeply, your nervous system begins to shift. Cortisol drops. Endorphins rise. Your body moves out of stress mode and into healing mode. Nature has a way of resetting our hormonal balance because it speaks the same language: rhythm, balance, harmony. The human body was built for this cadence. Yet we spend most of our lives disconnected from it. Healing your hormones naturally means returning to that rhythm, not through perfection, but through presence. Science shows that the hypothalamus, the brain's control center for hormones, responds directly to your emotions and environment. It listens to your internal dialogue. If your mind constantly says, I'm not enough, your body releases stress signals. If you say, I'm safe, I'm healing, it releases growth signals. This is not magic, it's neuroendocrinology. Your thoughts are chemical messages shaping every hormonal pathway in your system. The moment you begin to change your mental narrative, your biology starts to follow. Think about how attraction works, not in movies, but in real life. Sometimes it's a glance across a room, an unexpected laugh, a sense of familiarity that can't be explained. What's really happening is a chemical dialogue between two nervous systems. Pheromones, micro-expressions, subtle hormonal cues. All of them create a conversation beyond words. The body senses alignment long before the mind does. That's why true attraction feels effortless. It's not a trick of the eyes, but a resonance of biology. The way two hormonal systems recognize safety and potential in one another. Now imagine what happens when those signals are disrupted. When chronic stress floods the body with cortisol and adrenaline, the nervous system tightens, digestion slows, sleep becomes restless, and sexual energy fades. It's not that desire disappears, it's that the body can't access it. You can't crave connection when your brain believes it's in danger. Healing your hormones naturally isn't about forcing desire. It's about restoring safety, so your body remembers it's allowed to feel again. Every time you move your body, a workout, a walk, even slow breathing, you're sending messages to your endocrine system. Exercise increases sensitivity to insulin, balances estrogen, boosts testosterone, and floods your brain with endorphins. But beyond the numbers, it reignites confidence. That primal, grounded sense of I belong in my body. And that confidence changes everything. When you feel strong, your hormones respond in kind. You stand taller, your voice steadies, your presence deepens. This isn't vanity. It's physiology responding to empowerment. There's also food, not just as fuel, but as information. Every bite tells your body something. Protein supports hormone production. Healthy fats stabilize energy. Fiber cleanses excess estrogen. But just as important as what you eat is how you eat. When you eat in a rush, scrolling your phone or distracted by noise, your cortisol stays elevated, digestion weakens, nutrients are lost. When you eat slowly, mindfully, your body interprets it as abundance, safety. That's when healing happens. In Dr. Lyon's philosophy, healing hormones naturally is about bringing the body back into alignment with its original intelligence. She reminds us that we are not broken. We are out of rhythm. The body is always trying to heal. We just have to give it the space, nourishment, and stillness to do so. Let's return to touch. That quiet, underrated miracle. When skin meets skin in trust, oxytocin rises and cortisol falls. That shift in chemistry doesn't just affect your mood, it strengthens your immune system, regulates your heartbeat, and enhances empathy, emotional intimacy, whether with a partner, a friend, or even within yourself, creates biological stability. Your hormones listen to love. This is why isolation feels like pain. Humans are wired for connection because our survival once depended on it. Being seen, being held, being understood. These experiences are not luxuries. They are physiological necessities. When you deprive your body of connection, it enters a low-level survival state. Over time, that becomes burnout, fatigue, depression, hormonal chaos. The remedy isn't found in a pill. It's in reestablishing the bonds that remind your body it's not alone. And yet, the most profound connection is the one you rebuild with yourself. Healing hormones is not only about food, movement, or touch. It's about learning to trust your own signals again. To know when your body is asking for rest, when it's asking for nourishment, when it's asking for closeness. Most people don't need more willpower. They need more listening. There's a moment, often quiet, when you start to feel it. That soft shift where energy returns, where mornings don't feel heavy, where you crave movement again. That's your hormones finding harmony. It doesn't happen overnight. It happens through consistency, compassion, and presence. Every breath, every mindful meal, every laugh shared with someone you love. These are the ingredients of healing. Desire begins to return not as a flame demanding attention, but as a warm, subtle, alive human. You notice beauty again. You notice your body responding to life instead of resisting it. That is the natural state of hormonal health, not control, but flow. So much of what we call healing is really remembering that the body knows, remembering that pleasure and peace are not opposites, remembering that your biology was built for connection to others, to nature, to yourself. When you align with that truth, hormones don't need to be forced into balance. They find it naturally. The science of hormones will always fascinate us. The precise feedback loops, the elegant chemistry. But behind every molecule is a story. The story of how you live, how you love, how you connect. The story of stress, resilience, and awakening. To heal your hormones is to step back into that story consciously. To become both narrator and participant. Soft piano returns, heartbeat sound slows. So as we move deeper into this exploration, remember this healing is not a destination. It's a dialogue. Your body is always speaking. Every signal, fatigue, desire, restlessness, is a form of communication. And when you finally learn to listen, you don't just heal your hormones. You awaken the very rhythm of being alive. When we last left off, the world of hormones had begun to feel less like science and more like poetry, an unseen language that the body uses to tell its truth. But now, as we move deeper, something begins to unfold. Something ancient, something human. It's the story of connection. The way love changes chemistry, how trust alters biology, how being seen and being touched can literally rewrite the body's code. It starts with oxytocin, often called the bonding hormone, but that name barely scratches the surface. Oxytocin is the bridge between biology and emotion. When someone holds your hand, when a loved one looks at you with gentleness, when you feel safe enough to let your guard down, oxytocin rises quietly, like dawn spilling across the nervous system. It slows the heart, lowers blood pressure, and dissolves the invisible tension that the modern world teaches us to carry. But it does something even more extraordinary. It rewires memory. When oxytocin floods the brain, fear fades, empathy heightens, and suddenly the world feels softer, more forgiving. Science can measure it, but it can't fully describe it. Because oxytocin doesn't just heal the body, it heals the way we feel inside our body. It teaches us that intimacy isn't about perfection, it's about presence. The body only produces oxytocin when it feels trust, and trust can't be faked. It's built slowly, moment by moment, through authenticity, through eye contact, through a kind of quiet attention that says, "I'm here with you." And yet, there's another player in this dance: dopamine, the spark, the thrill, the pulse of curiosity. Dopamine is desire in motion, the chemical of anticipation, discovery, the thrill of something new. When you hear a song that moves you, when you chase a goal, when you fall for someone's laugh, dopamine surges, lighting up the brain's reward center. It's what makes you lean in closer, what makes your eyes search for meaning. It fuels motivation and focus, but it also carries risk. Because when dopamine runs wild without the grounding of oxytocin, connection becomes consumption. We chase novelty instead of nourishment. True erotic health lives in the balance between these two forces: the excitement of dopamine and the safety of oxytocin, desire and trust, spark and stability. When both are present, the human body feels alive, creative, and centered. That's when hormones flow in harmony, when love deepens rather than depletes. When either is missing, imbalance begins. Too much dopamine, and we burn out, craving stimulation that never truly satisfies. Too much oxytocin without desire, and we lose vitality. Comfort replaces aliveness. The dance of hormonal health, then, is the art of holding both: the fire and the calm, the pulse and the peace. Picture a couple who have been together for years. They know each other's rhythms, the way silence can be a form of conversation, the way a glance across a crowded room carries more meaning than words. Over time, their bodies have synchronized in subtle ways. Their cortisol levels drop in each other's presence. Their heart rates adjust. Even their immune systems begin to strengthen in tandem. This isn't poetic metaphor. It's measurable physiology. Studies show that couples who share deep emotional intimacy have lower stress markers, stronger immune responses, and better overall hormonal balance. Love, in its truest form, is medicine. But this story isn't just about romance. It's about the broader spectrum of human connection, the kind that flows between friends, families, communities. A warm embrace, an honest conversation, even shared laughter. All of these moments release oxytocin and endorphins. They quiet the amygdala, the brain's fear center, reminding the body that it's safe to exist fully. Emotional closeness doesn't just change how we feel. It changes how our cells behave. The psychology of this runs deep. From the moment we are born, our nervous systems search for safety through connection. A newborn's first regulation of stress comes not through thought, but through touch, skin to skin, heartbeat to heartbeat. That early experience shapes how our adult brains interpret closeness. When we feel emotionally safe, our parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest mode, activates. Hormones stabilize. Healing accelerates. But when connection feels threatened, our stress system takes over, flooding the body with cortisol, shutting down desire, slowing digestion, disrupting sleep. This is why emotional wounds often show up as physical symptoms: fatigue, anxiety, loss of libido, hormonal chaos. The body doesn't separate emotional pain from biological distress. It feels both as survival threats. Healing, then, isn't just about what we eat or how we move. It's about rebuilding the internal sense of safety that allows hormones to find their natural rhythm again. Dr. Lyon often reminds her patients that hormonal health isn't about perfection. It's about communication. Every symptom is a message. Low energy, mood swings, sleep struggles. These are not failures, they're signals. The body doesn't make mistakes. It adapts to the story you're living. And if your story is filled with stress, disconnection, or overexertion, your hormones will reflect that truth until you begin to rewrite it. The rewriting begins in small moments. Choosing to rest when you're tired. Reaching out when you feel alone. Allowing yourself to feel desire without guilt. Pleasure without shame, softness without fear. These choices retrain your chemistry. They tell your hypothalamus, the master conductor of hormones, that life is safe again, that energy can flow where it's meant to. The healing of hormones is In many ways, the healing of permission. There's something profoundly sacred about this. The realization that the same chemicals responsible for attraction are also the ones responsible for compassion, for trust, for belonging. The body doesn't separate sensuality from humanity. It sees them as one continuum of connection. When your hormonal system is in balance, you don't just crave touch, you crave meaning. You want to connect, to share, to express. The body becomes a bridge between the physical and the emotional, between science and soul. In the quiet spaces of daily life, the slow morning coffee, the deep breath before speaking, the stillness after laughter, your hormones are adjusting, responding, evolving. Each moment of peace lowers cortisol, raises serotonin, and strengthens your body's ability to self-regulate. Healing, then, is not a grand event but a series of small, consistent choices that teach your biology how to trust life again. When you begin to understand your hormones as storytellers, everything changes. You stop fighting your body and start listening. You realize that the rush of adrenaline before a challenge isn't fear, it's readiness. That the warmth in your chest when someone smiles isn't coincidence. It's oxytocin whispering that connection is safe, that the tiredness after a long day isn't weakness. It's your cortisol rhythm asking for rest. The body speaks in chemistry, but the message is always emotional. Slow down, connect, breathe. In this way, erotic health becomes a mirror for all health. It reflects how comfortable you are with intimacy, with vulnerability, with being seen. Because the truth is, the same hormones that govern attraction also govern creativity, purpose, and resilience. Dopamine drives curiosity. Oxytocin drives empathy. Serotonin steadies the mind. When they flow in harmony, you don't just feel alive, you feel aligned. Your life becomes a dialogue between passion and peace. There's a reason why people in love often look younger, why their skin glows, why their energy feels magnetic. It's not magic, it's chemistry. Oxytocin reduces inflammation, improves immune response, and increases blood flow to the skin. Dopamine enhances motivation and confidence. Together, they create a biological state that radiates vitality. Love at the cellular level is anti-aging. And even when love ends, when connection is lost or hearts are broken, the biology doesn't betray us. It adapts. It grieves. It recalibrates. Pain, too, is a form of healing, a temporary imbalance that teaches the body resilience. Cortisol may rise, appetite may shift, sleep may falter. But even in heartbreak, oxytocin and endorphins work quietly to help you recover. Your body is always on your side, always seeking balance, always trying to bring you back to yourself. The mind and body are not separate realms. They are mirrors. Every thought sends a chemical ripple through your bloodstream. Every feeling becomes a physical signal. When you fall in love, neurons fire in the same reward pathways activated by art, music, creativity. When you feel rejected, those same areas dim, and the brain releases physical pain signals. The experience of love and loss is written in both emotion and molecule. To heal your hormones naturally, then, is to engage with this truth. To honor the fact that your biology is listening to your heart, your habits, your hopes. It's not just about balancing estrogen or testosterone. It's about balancing how you live, how you connect, how you allow yourself to feel. In a world obsessed with control, calorie counts, productivity, perfection, true hormonal health is an act of surrender. It's the quiet art of allowing your body to feel joy without guilt, allowing rest without shame, allowing desire without fear. These acts of permission recalibrate your entire endocrine system because they replace resistance with flow. You begin to notice how everything is connected, how a single deep breath can slow your heartbeat, lower your cortisol, improve digestion, how a moment of laughter can release endorphins that ease pain, how genuine kindness can spike oxytocin and reduce inflammation. Every act of presence is an act of healing. Every connection, no matter how small, becomes a chemical conversation that tells your body, you are safe to live fully. And in that safety, desire returns. Not as a rush of lust, but as a gentle awakening. You start to crave life itself. You want to move, create, connect, explore. That's the ultimate sign of hormonal harmony, the return of curiosity, of joy, of embodied energy. A soft strings begin to swell. A slow cinematic rise. In the end, the story of hormones is the story of being human. It's the story of how we seek closeness, how we learn to trust, how we rebuild when we've been broken. Every heartbeat, every breath, every surge of emotion is part of that dialogue. The body is not your enemy. It's your oldest ally, your most honest mirror. When Dr. Lyon says, heal your hormones naturally, she's not talking about perfection. She's talking about relationship. The one you build with yourself, your body, and the world around you. She's talking about remembering that you are a living ecosystem of chemistry and consciousness, designed not just to survive, but to connect. The quiet piano returns, almost a whisper. So the next time you feel your heart race at a glance, or your breath deepen in a moment of peace, know that your body is speaking. It's telling you that love, safety, and vitality are not separate experiences. They are one continuous rhythm. To live in harmony with your hormones is to live in harmony with your humanity.